Hi there everyone and welcome back to Geeks Utopia. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 most ruined anime characters. One disclaimer. Now, I haven't seen all of One Piece. I don't know all of the ruined characters that may or may not be in that series. If there are some characters that we fail to mention from that anime or any other characters from any other anime, please list them in the comments down below and we will sure to do some research and possibly put some credit in there at the end of the video. And with that, let's get started.
Number 5. L.
L is the detective from the great series Death Note. This detective mastermind could probably give Sherlock a run for his money.
No.
He was given the task to find the notorious killer, Kira. L, with basically nothing to go on, embarks on one of the most epic stories of cat and mouse in all of anime history. L was a genius with an insatiable sweet tooth and probably the most memorable seating position of all time. And basically every single one of you anime girls out there have probably tried it once or twice. Don't lie to yourself, and especially don't lie to me. Truly a genius unrivaled by any other, even if you compared him to other anime characters. That is, however, until you get to the end of the anime, where you find out there's 2 new characters named Nier and Mello that are the true successors of L. And needless to say, they pretty much put a damper on the entire mood of the show. L leaves the series on a pretty high note, being the genius that he is. But later on we find out there's 2 basically carbon copies of L himself. These 2 characters really just minimalize the uniqueness of L's character by showing that there are 2 other people exactly like him, just as smart, just as unique, and they even have the weird sweet tooth fetish. So honestly, L was ruined by the end of the show, which is kind of sad to see happen in any anime, especially one that's a classic like Death Note.
Come on, let's go, Light. It seems like it's all worked out.
Number 4. Rock Lee.
Oh, Rock Lee, where to begin? He jumped onto the Naruto series like a giant fireball of youth. He brought in enthusiasm and a great uniqueness where he was the only character that couldn't actually use any ninjutsu. He brought apart the whole only taijutsu thing, which obviously comes from one of the creator's heroes, Bruce Lee. Seeing as though Rock Lee couldn't use any ninjutsu, it makes you wonder, how did he actually pass the clone jutsu that Naruto had so much trouble with in the very beginning of the series? And he probably had the most game in the entire series. Other than fangirls falling all over Sasuke, I think that Rock Lee probably had the best game.
Sakura-san.
Even without ninjutsu, Rock Lee proved himself to be one of the toughest characters in all of Naruto, at least at the time. He went toe-to-toe with Gaara, who also at the time was one of the most powerful characters in the entire series. And we find out that later on, he is as strong as a Kage, becoming Kazekage in the early Shippuden episode. Nobody can ever forget the epic scene where Rock Lee dropped those weights on the statue during the Chunin exams and went all like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on Gaara's ass. However, as the series progressed, Lee's character didn't, because he had about one other good fight in the Naruto series versus Mr. Bone Guy, as we all refer to him. And other than that, he pretty much just falls by the wayside. Rock Lee, sadly enough, was one of the strongest characters in the entire series, but as the other characters progressed and got stronger, especially Naruto and Sasuke, Rock Lee was just left behind, hidden in the leaves.
Man, Bushy-Brow, what the hell did you drink?
Nothing. A chocolate made me go boom is all.
Number 3.
Hey you guys, it's me, Krillin! I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with him being on the list as one of the top 5 most ruined characters in anime, but hear me out, there are some good, legitimate reasons that he is on the list, and for his placement on this list. Krillin debuted in the series Dragon Ball, which was the predecessor to Dragon Ball Z, as most of us already know. Krillin was actually introduced as not only a friend of Goku, but also a rival. He was able to actually beat Goku in a fight, which is pretty crazy to think about, seeing as though now he's kind of like been blown away by other characters, if you know what I mean. Both Krillin and Goku were trained by the great Master Roshi at Kame House. Goku was trained by Grandpa Gohan beforehand, but Krillin was also trained his entire life by monks. He was just surrounded by martial arts his entire life and key training. Although Goku did become rightfully stronger, being the protagonist in the series, most of that is due to blood, not training, because they both train their asses off constantly. Krillin, however, as he trained, he progressed and was even able to master the Kamehameha wave. That took Master Roshi 50 years to master. Krillin was able to do it in 2 tries during a fight in a tournament. Another great skill that Krillin showed that he knew how to do was the ability to fly. During the tournament against Piccolo Jr., he had no training on how to fly. He just saw Ten Shinhan fly one time and he was like, hey, I could probably do that. Exactly the way he found out how to do the Kamehameha wave. Krillin was one of the masterminds of Dragon Ball Z, being able to carbon copy everybody's move in basically a single try, maybe 2. That's impressive. He was also just a human. So, like Videl being able to fly, Krillin is probably one of 4 characters in the series that probably know how to fly, that aren't an alien or have some majestic power. Krillin also proves that he's brave throughout the entire series. He's continuously standing up to characters that we know are going to be able to kill him. First, it's Raditz, then Frieza. He also stands up to Cell and the androids. He also stands up to Evil Boo, which we all know could kill him at any moment, and actually does. Although I won't say his integrity or his morality of a character was actually ruined by Z, I will say that the potential in his character was ruined. He could have been one of the strongest characters in the series, probably next to Piccolo, or stronger. He rivaled Goku for a while, and he probably could have rivaled even the androids. But they just stopped progressing his character, and because of that, I would say that his character itself was ruined. I mean, he was even trained by King Kai, so why did he not get any stronger?
Well, see you, babe.
He's so cool.
Asuna is one of the main characters from an anime called Sword Art Online. She's basically the other half of Kirito, the main protagonist. They're both pretty kick-ass fighters, but Asuna has proven herself to be one of the best characters in the entire show. She actually becomes the 2nd strongest fighter and the 2nd in command in a group called the Knights of the Blood Guild, which is a pretty cool name and freaking hard to remember. But basically, they're the ones wearing red and white. In the first season of Sword Art Online, or SAO, they're the most powerful guild in the game, rivaled by 2 other guilds that are kind of here and there throughout the entire series. As Kirito tries to make a solo mission on his own, leveling up himself with no other help from others, Asuna does the whole diplomacy action. She trains as a guild, and they start making headway through the series that they need to beat to get out of the game. That's the whole premise of the entire show. Her fighting skills are impeccable, and honestly, if Kirito and Asuna got into a fight without his double sword wielding capability, I honestly don't know who would win in a fight. Probably Asuna. However, in the second half of the first season, she basically becomes a Princess Peach character. She's locked away in a castle and her prince Kirito needs to go and save her. She does have one episode where she kind of shows a little bit of spunk and tries to escape, but it's very short-lived and it goes back to the normal storyline of her waiting to be saved by him, which is kind of sad to see. In the second season of SAO, Kirito goes on basically by himself in a new game, and Asuna becomes a true side character, which is always sad to see because you saw all the potential that she had in the first season being a badass that she's always been. And now, as the series progresses, she basically has no merit as a character at all. Honestly, her skills in the virtual world are virtually useless in the new series.
Number 1. Son Gohan.
Yes, another Dragon Ball Z character. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. This may come as a surprise to some people, but Gohan, son of Goku, is the #1 ruined anime character of all time, in my opinion. In Dragon Ball Z, he does have the most epic Super Saiyan 2 transformation ever, probably even better than the very first Super Saiyan transformation against Frieza. However, that's basically where Gohan's story ends, because although Goku dies and shouldn't be coming back, Akira Toriyama wanted to bring him back for one last hurrah against Boo. Gohan was always kind of a mysterious character in the series. We all know that he's Goku's son, however, he also had like this hidden potential inside of him. The entire series, starting with Raditz, he showed that when he got angry, he went all Hulk on us and could pretty much kick everybody's ass. That's never explained throughout the entire series, honestly, even as the series progresses, because, to our knowledge, Goten doesn't have that same block in his mind. Why he had it, I don't know. Maybe bad parenting on Goku's part? Who knows? However, in Cell Saga, Gohan finally releases his rage, in a sense, and he becomes Super Saiyan 2, and probably the most epic moment in all of anime history. However, after that series, Gohan does nothing. He basically becomes like this school life anime rom-com character and doesn't train ever again. He becomes the Great Saiyaman, which I personally love, but obviously fans out there would hate it, and I understand why. Finally, we get to the Buu Saga. Goku comes back for a last hurrah, and Gohan is basically non-existent. He gets his power drained, he's pretty much pointless as he recuperates with the help of Videl, who is the daughter of the strongest character in the series. Buu has proven himself to be the strongest character or villain in the entire series, up until Dragon Ball Super, when Beerus introduces himself. So, put that where you want him. However, we don't know how strong Buu really is until Vegeta sacrifices himself, turning Super Saiyan 2 with the Majin power, and finds out that that's not powerful enough to defeat Buu, which means that Gohan is not quite strong enough to kill him either. Pop in Goku for a last hurrah. He becomes Super Saiyan 3, which is probably the most gimmick in the entire series, where he just grows out his hair and becomes his older brother Raditz with yellow hair. And Gohan and all of his power and all of his successes are just minimalized by Goku and Vegeta. He's no longer the most powerful character in the series. In fact, he's pretty weak because he hasn't been training for, I don't know, about 8 years or so. Gohan does get help from the Kais, and he unlocks even more potential energy, which makes no sense because Super Saiyan 2 was supposed to be all that potential energy being released, but let's not argue semantics. That's also pretty much proven to be pointless. He is the most powerful at that time. Without even turning Super Saiyan, he was able to fight Evil Buu and win. However, because of his lack of training, he just wasn't able to actually fight Buu on the same level. He got sidetracked by worrying about Gotenks and gets absorbed by Buu, and then later saved by Goku, and then later killed by Goku's negligence.
Ugh! Idiot! How could you? You saved the Namek boy in that big oaf instead of your own sons? Have you lost your mind?
So by the end of Dragon Ball Z, Gohan is Mystic Gohan, or Ultimate Gohan, or whatever the name you want to give him. And technically, that's one of the most powerful characters in the series. However, they never really expand on that or talk about it. It's all about Goku being Super Saiyan 3. And now, many years later, we have Dragon Ball Super. The one thing that could probably give justice to Gohan as a character. And he's wearing glasses. And he gets Videl's shot. And he wears a jumpsuit to a fight. That happened. Not the Piccolo cape, not the whole, Vegeta's armor, not orange suit, not even the Great Sandman costume. He wears a green jumpsuit, like he just got out of the gym, which we both know isn't true because he's a professor. Honestly, he was so ruined in this new series that I got kind of sad. He was one of my favorite characters in the series, next to Vegeta, of course. And they just did nothing with his character after the Cell Saga. He just gets his butt kicked over and over and over again. It is obnoxious. When Gohan goes to a fight, everybody gets pumped up. And then he gets beat down. And it's always sad to see because we all know that he's a much better character than the anime gives him credit for. It's always about Goku and always about Vegeta saving the day. Mainly Goku. Hopefully Vegeta gets some new action in Dragon Ball Super. But why does Goku always have to come back and save the day in Dragon Ball Z? We know that Gohan was able to save the day, but they just didn't let him. Even when he finally did turn Super Saiyan 2, he gets ruined with his last Kamehameha wave, with his father in the background basically helping him along. Which, yes, it was a really cool and artistic scene. It should have been where he actually handed off the torch to Gohan. And I think personally that was what it was supposed to be until publicists and other people kind of ruined that. So Gohan just didn't have the right people on his side and got left behind.
Does it fit?
Yeah! Why, it's a super fit!
Hope you enjoyed our video for the top 5 most ruined anime characters. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and obviously subscribe. And if you don't want to do any of that, give us a good old thumbin', because we need it.